We are not advertising Mountain Dew, by the way. Do not drink Mountain Dew.
Look good.
They are not drinking Mountain Dew. All right, so now we have SwiftTomHanks on the left, and we have Phase 3 on the right. Now that we have both of them together, and Phase 3 is all cleaned up, we can kind of dig a little deeper here as far as where this essentially began. Now, here, Phase 3, he was the one that, took the initial step to, basically to where it is now. So tell me a little bit about, what made you take that initiative, pretty much.
Well, first, I think what made us really, really compelled to do this was we watched a lot of streams, and if you watch streams a lot, it's hard not to get envious of all the fun they're having and all the hype and the good competition. So you watch enough streams and you're going to think, all right, how can I participate? How can I become part of this community? And if you watch, you'll notice that a lot of the streams, they're recurring. So you'll see things like Guard Crush, you'll see things like Wednesday Night Fights, which it can almost make you a little bit disheartened, because you'll look at these locations, one's in New York, one's in California, and if you might feel that if you don't have a scene near you or a thriving scene, that you're just out of luck and you're just going to have to create one yourself. So what we did was, instead of trying to drive out, to different states or different locales, we tried to just gather what we could, and we had to be realistic. I mean, at first, we don't know that many MK players off the top of our heads. We don't know that many Marvel players. So what we did was we just tried to combine all of them and get them all under one roof. So that way, if you have a lot of Melee players and you introduce them to Marvel and you introduce them to Mortal Kombat, they might say, hey, this game's fun, I want to dig into this a little bit deeper, I maybe want to explore this a little bit more. So what we did was, we had the mentality where if we can't find them, we'll create them. So I called in all my old Melee contacts, because I've been playing Melee for like 10 years, and I met a lot of people over the years. And some old, anybody who plays Marvel or MK, we'll try to call them and bring them in. And hopefully, things will catch on. And that's more or less what has happened. There's been a pretty good reception to each one of the games. So that's pretty much how we started.
That's a real testament to it, too. On our first ever day that we did this, we had 3 Mortal Kombat players, and out of 15, and now Mortal Kombat's our most competitive game. So, Mortal Kombat will do the work for you. In terms of I used to play this fighting game, but now I can play Mortal Kombat. So, work's cut out for you there.
Yeah, I think with how we approach it too, we actually made it mandatory that you enter every game, because when we ran this, it was mostly people we knew. We didn't actually have anybody who was foreign to us, or anybody who was driving from out of state that we hadn't met before, although that's the case now. Originally it was just friends. So we did it just as much to play these games competitively as we did to hang out, or as we did just to joke around with each other. So there wasn't really like a hostile competitive environment. It's really lighthearted. We joke.
I'm just kidding.
We joke we joke around a lot. We play Deadliest Warrior games, terror bad, but it's hilarious. So you just roll with it, and we make sure everybody plays every game. So that way, if you come in and you're like, oh, I'm the Mortal Kombat guy, I only play Mortal Kombat, at least try Marvel, at least try these other games. You might have some fun, If you lose right off the bat, who cares?
I gotta say that's a very interesting and very smart approach, I must say. If you're here, you have to enter everything. Therefore, you have to at least try it. And something that, say for example, if you guys had a game like I'm gonna throw a game out there, Melty Blood, for example. I've never played it. I've watched a little bit. I don't get it at all. But that's where the learning process comes in, because if I came here and you had Melty Blood, like, all right, well, you're an MK player, well, all right, well, it's mandatory that you have to enter this, and if I liked it, well, heck, there it goes, and so I think it's a very smart approach on your end. I just think that's very smart to do, because it if you're gonna come out here, you're making them. You're making them do something, but kind of in their best efforts, or in their best interest, I should say. Yeah. And they could end up getting into Melty Blood, or they're gonna get into Marvel, or Deadliest Warrior. All right, now here's the question. Now, Deadliest Warrior, all right?
Yeah.
how is that game played? Cause there's no
This
tournaments.
is what you do. You smash your face against.
No. I meant why.
Oh, okay. How is it?
I'm not
played?
trying to diss the game, but this is the only like gathering that
There's basic things to like any fighter, you know, like when to attack, when to defend, like when to retreat, and Deadliest Warrior is so bad that you can't lab this, you can't become a pro at this. So really, like it actually, I'm trying to be serious about Deadliest Warrior. It's hard.
So
it
it's
boils
being
down to basic fighting, your basic fighting instincts. So like, you know, like it's. You know, you don't need to be good at like Mortal Kombat or Marvel to be good at it. You just need to be good at fighters in general, and it's always fun. Or not. I mean, or just get lucky. There's always a luck element involved, which is great because like you can't get salty.
Well, you can,
it.
but
you shouldn't get salty. About
so it's basically being played as a joke.
Somewhat, it's still fun. It's not like we're playing it, you know, miserably, and we just it's like torture to us, and we just do it anyway. It's still a fun game.
Okay.
It's still. It's not something that you would buy for $60. Obviously, they're not charging $60 for it. But for what you pay, you get something that makes people just go crazy. It's a very hyped game because it's hard to predict who's winning and who's losing. Because even if you have a full health bar, if your opponent throws a spear, it'll just go through your face and you'll just die, and that'll be the end of it. Or
Oh man!
you'll cut off somebody's arm, and then you realize they're not dead, and then they kill you on account of it. And there's just so much in this game that makes you, I don't know.
They do have fatalities in the game.
They're just
I've seen that. I've seen like the little bits and pieces. I think honestly, in my opinion, I think the concept of the game of having like different warriors of different like cultures and whatever else and
that's the other
It's
thing.
like real life Smash Bros. It's just a bunch of.
You have to
famous
represent
icons.
your culture too. So like if you're coming in here and you're Native American, like you gotta play the Apache, like, or if you're Scottish or something, you gotta play like the Viking or something. So.
So you have William Wallace in the next. They're making a sequel.
Yeah,
coming out like a week
it's
or
so
two
good
on
it gets a
PSN.
sequel.
So yeah, it has stage fatalities and everything.
You guys gotta have a release party here
So
for it.
we don't.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
There'll be some sort of celebration. We'll make sure to play a lot of Deadliest
This turned
Warrior.
from like a Mortal Kombat pitch to like Deadliest Warrior.
Yeah, go buy Deadliest. You'll hate it.
This is sponsored by Mountain Dew and Deadliest Warrior.
Yeah, I think. What were we? We're talking about what? How
We are not
people here.
advertising Mountain Dew. They are not drinking Mountain Dew.
Give us money,
Or just
Mountain Dew.
Scupio.
You can just kind of shorten, the entire Deadliest Warrior pitch into just it's funny, and it gets people motivated to play other fighting games that take skill because once you have hype, you just kind of ride it for the rest of the night. And Deadliest Warrior is so funny because it's unpredictable, and I think the coolest thing is it's almost random because we've had a different winner every single time. We've had characters who we deemed unusable trash, low tier, come up and win the whole thing. So it gets people excited, and we take that excitement and we bring it to Mortal Kombat or Marvel or Melee or what have you. So other than that, I think another big thing was. And I'm going to actually go back a little bit to how we got this started. Once you have enough people, you need a place. So I pretty much just, tried to find somebody who had like a really nice apartment. So I just became friends with Andrew, and now we just use it.
So you just
and that's pretty much how we do things. And
being used.
whatever.
Well, at least he's being honest, huh?
Yeah.
Too late now. So I think that's important too, and that actually is a serious concern now that we're on the subject is venues, and that's tough because we always used to think about what happens if we do get too big, and we didn't really expect that to happen. We didn't expect to have more than like 12 people on any given day, and now if there might be like 20 to 30 in the coming weeks, and beyond that. We had to consider a venue because this place, it can only hold so much, and it also gets to a point where you don't know everybody anymore. So, you're inviting people who you don't know and you've never met into your house, and
Yeah, that's very that's I'm not really sure of the word for what what I'm trying to say here, but I basically I can understand and it's very generous of you guys, but at the same time you do have to be careful at the same time.
Oh yeah, we've got our eyes on you.
Yes.
Got eyes
I
everywhere.
will say that
They got cameras in the walls.
something that's
Top ceiling is where we have it.
something
No,
so
but
great.
seriously, it's awesome that you guys are doing this, and
Yeah, the MK community's been extremely nice to us, and it's interesting just to meet, people through a video game, and like you don't judge them on anything other than like just like their personality. That's like my competitive video game play comes from World of Warcraft, and it's always been nice to like there's no prejudices when you meet people through video games. You really just judge them based on their video game play, and the Mortal Kombat community reception's been great because like we share like a common love with Mortal Kombat. So far everybody we've met has been nothing but awesome. So.
Yeah, actually, we just have a guy who drove last week here all the way from Maryland. I think like 2 hours plus tolls.
I know who that is.
Yeah, I have to give him a shout out, Azale. He's one of the coolest guys we've met here. And
Used to be known as Sub-Zero 2, everyone, just
Sub-Zero, okay.
FYI. But yeah, he his new like permanent name is it Azale?
Azale, yeah.
Okay.
That's what he went by here, and I think that's another big issue worth touching on is the willingness to either to drive or to compromise a little bit, because you're not always going to have the luxury of a scene maybe 10 minutes away, and if you have to drive an hour, 2 hours, sometimes that's just what it takes, because we might run maybe 10, 12 hours depending on the day, and if you drive an hour, 2 hours here, I would like to think it's worth it, especially if you're really hungry for a competitive community. So we try to encourage people to, like I said, drive a little bit, not too much of it becomes a hassle or it's too much of an inconvenience, we understand. But if you are looking for a competitive community, you might have to drive, but I'm sure you can find something if you are willing to spread out just a little bit.
Well, like I was saying to Swift over here, is the fact that I essentially like in debt to you guys for doing this, because I get to see people like Shock or Simon, especially those two guys that I never see them unless it's like at a Philly tournament. And here they are. They're going to be coming here today, and it's just it's great. And like you're saying, as far as like compromising, I won't be able to make it out of here every Sunday, of course, but I'll be able to come out here today, and this alone, even if it is just once a month, it's worth it, because I mean it's either this or nothing. You know what I mean? It's
we're just better than nothing. We just beat out.
Yeah.
What else are you gonna do on a Sunday? Like,
Yeah, football season's over.
yeah, fuck that. They're on strike. We're not on strike.
Yeah, so I think, and that's another thing that we actually spoke about too. We just keep hitting on all these topics that we discussed, rigorously prior to the creation of this event, and that's a weekly ritual, because a lot of people think, oh, like a whole day, that's a lot, and it depends on what you have going on in your life. But most people around our age who are maybe in college, or we actually have some guys who maybe just graduated to high school, so we have a range of ages. And for the most part, a weekly ritual doesn't disrupt your schedule too much. I mean, most people, an average person has a poker night or something like that, and this is almost no different than that. So we find that most people have been pretty good about fitting this into their schedules. But that's another thing that's worth considering, is finding a time that works for everybody.
Right.
Finding a place and a time I think partly we got lucky. You can't just build it and they will come, like, no matter where you go. We just happen to have the right friends, the right location, and people who are just willing and open to try just about any game.
Right.
Yeah, that would be my biggest advice, is if you see like a scene, go and check it out. I mean, we had Azale and AC show up, and Azale like out of the blue, and I
was very surprised. Not that I knew he wouldn't, but like his first major was EC23, and that was just around the corner. Mm-hmm. And when I heard that he came out here, I'm just like, that's really, really awesome, because I mean that's like a 2-3 hour drive for him.
He did great too. He made it to the grand finals of Deadliest Warriors. So.
He came, sat down, and almost was the Deadliest Warriors. So.
Yeah, he was about.
Oh, is that why he made that post?
Yeah,
the Deadliest Warriors.
He was so close to being the Deadliest Warriors.
He's a big fan now. So
yeah,
maybe you will be too by the end of the day.
Actually, speaking of tournaments, that's another thing that we did. Because originally we had our friends and our friends of friends, and once you've exhausted all those resources. You don't really have too many places to go. So what we decided to do is go out to tournaments, because we figure if there's a tournament in Philly, if there's, you have to imagine with how many people are always watching a stream and how many people are posting on these websites like Test Your Might. There are people out there like us who want to do something but aren't doing anything, and you hope that when you go to a tournament you might find at least just one or two other people like you, and maybe you can get their contact info, maybe they live close to you, and we've done that at a couple tournaments now, and that's helped us quite substantially, I think, because we met Simon through that
During the Philly tournament.
we met a few guys, and never heard from him again. You win some, you lose some, but
Right.
It's good too to go out.
Well, bottom line is you guys
scouting.
are making the effort, and they won't be
Yeah.
here if it
We
wasn't
make
for you guys.
connections, yeah.
So,
Yeah, I don't know. It's
so everyone watching this, just if you don't have anything at home, if you just don't have a scene around you, or just are envious, just basically just really listen to these guys, what they had to say, and just really think about it, because if you're that serious, you will find a way. And if you're gonna keep complaining about it, but then you don't make an effort, well, then it becomes your problem. So just take an initiative, or that's why sites have regional matchmaking forums.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, another really good bit of advice, and I think that it's something that really helped us too, is sometimes you just have a mentality, or you have to have a mentality where you just do it. Because if you keep talking about it and you say, hey guys, wouldn't it be cool if we all did this, it'll just never happen. So one of the first things we did was we just made a Facebook group. We invited everybody who may or may not even just be remotely interested, and we set a date almost immediately. We're like, 2 weeks from now, show up at Andrew's. If not, we're not friends anymore, defriended, and then if we get enough people, we'll do it again and again and again. And put your foot down and try to, like I said, try to be proactive. Try to, I guess, really set a date in stone, and then try to convert people. That's worked so well, converting people. Just bring because there are sub communities within the fighting game community, but in general, we all are part of the fighting game community, and
Exactly.
Reach out to other players. Don't be like Smash players. They're 10 years old.
When you like one
Street
fighting
Fighter,
game,
they're way too cool for us.
You'll like more than. I can't imagine that someone out there only likes one fighting game and just straight up will not like any other ones. So we've been trying to start Street Fighter 4 here now, Arcade Edition. But literally just with lack of time. We already run 4 tournaments, running 5 in a day.
Right. It's just how many setups and all that stuff you have.
Yeah, but we don't want to. We want to give everything its time in the spotlight. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
that's hard. Yeah, we want to run multiple tournaments, but if we run them at the same time, because one of the things that we found to be so enjoyable about how we run things here is that we used to run every single tournament where you watch every single match, and since we were all friends, it worked because we were all excited to watch each other play. Now we have to use 2 setups sometimes, but we try to reconvene for the finals, so everybody gets a chance to watch, the end of the tournament, and support their friends and support people whom they just met, or check out new strategies. And we almost don't want it to get to the point where it's very impersonal, and you come in and you do your work, and you play your casuals and you don't really converse. So we want to try to find the perfect balance between playing as many games as possible and really giving the games their time in the sun and their spotlight. So.
Awesome.
Or we'll see how well we balance that today.
yeah.
Well, I guess that'll about wrap it up for now.
Cool.
But just want to thank both of you for just sit down here and letting everyone at home know the depths of this, and just how it began, how it goes, and how it's done, and and continue doing what you're doing for as long as you can. And yeah, thank you guys, and we'll see everyone at home on the site.